We are a people entitled to our First Amendment right, and we show up to exercise it, and we end up having to defend it.
American citizens are being arrested for simply protesting. They're shooting the press with rubber bullets.
They'll punish anyone who decides to actually uphold their constitutional duty.
People don't want this.
It's a witch hunt on Black and brown Americans. When American citizens can be detained and then being told that their documents are falsified, at a certain point, these protests need to keep going.
We are a country in distress.
Either we take back America or America gets way worse. Obviously, the news is making it look like it's riots and it's crazy and it's insanity.
Yeah.
Which is normal. I feel like they do this every time. But I can tell you, like, there's 10,000 people that are marching daily in downtown LA, and of that 10,000, I would say like maybe 100 are getting out of control and using this opportunity to further their, I don't know.
There's always going to be like a handful of people who decide to be destructive, and then of course those are going to be the videos that get shared, but like that is not the majority of what's happening. The city is not in chaos. We are going about our like there's areas of downtown that you probably couldn't drive through because there's people in the way, but like
But if you were
outside
to go,
of that,
I mean, like, if you go blocks in any direction, they're outside the courthouse, or they're outside the federal building or whatever, and there's like peaceful protest of people saying like chinga la migra. Other people who are saying melt the ice, or that are being like ice go away or whatever, and it's like all things that are of normal protest demonstration. No one is violent. They're all like, people are dancing, people are singing, people are playing music. But the things where you see it's like, oh, this Waymo was set on fire. It's like, all right, that's one very small pocket.
I think it was all on the same street too. And I was there for hours on Sunday and I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was one street. One or a few people were like calling Waymos over there and setting them on fire. Like, obviously, destruction of property is what it is, but that's not the majority of the protests. It's not happening all over the city. And a lot of videos also that are being shared are not even from this year or this protest.
The LA protests are a complete indirect response to ICE showing up to Home Depot, showing up to high school graduations, showing up to elementary and middle school graduations. Like, this is an unprecedented attack on a very large population of Southern California. It's literally called Los Angeles. And so when ICE is coming into our communities and we're standing up, and then Trump wants to swing his dick around and send in the National Guard and send in Marines, it's an overstep, and we don't
threaten
need it.
to arrest our governor.
Yeah, trying to arrest our governor, which is absolutely leaning very heavily towards authoritarianism.
Yeah.
Like, this is what they do. So I can tell you, I was there on Sunday. I haven't been there for all of the days of protest. We are now entering day 4 of the protest, but it was a beautiful demonstration of humanity and community. I mean, there's people handing out masks, there's people handing out water, food. If tear gas was being put into the air, you would alert everyone, and it was like clockwork. People would be able to turn and start walking the other direction. Like, we kept it safe. There was people delegating traffic. Like, we got notifications 5 minutes after the official protest had started. It was supposed to start at 2. We got a notification at like 2:07 that said like tear gas and rubber bullets had already been deployed. For what? Like, I was there. I was looking at the National Guard, and like, it's just people, like, they're screaming. But if you can't deal with screaming people, then you shouldn't be in law enforcement.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it really was just people. Half of us had our hands up. Most of us had shit in our hands, signs, water. Like, it was a beautiful demonstration of unity. And I'm really proud to be, a resident of Los Angeles today. I'm really proud to be part of the movement where everyone is standing up, from New York to Philadelphia to San Francisco to here. Like, we are doing an excellent job showing Trump that there is no world in which fascism is going to win in this country.
Yeah. And they've been all over. Also, I saw there's like big protests in like Dallas and Dallas around Texas and stuff, where, typically considered obviously a red state, but it's like there are people don't want this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the other thing that people need to realize is like how these sequence of events have been laid out. And like, you bring up Texas, yesterday or last night was the first time that I had ever heard of a demonstration in Texas, because there haven't been raids over there, and there's over 2 million undocumented people who live in Texas. There's a 2.6 undocumented people who live in California. But the reason that Trump decides to go after, and even in an interview with Newsom, he was like, we talked on Friday. He never mentioned the National Guard. He never said he was going to do this stuff. And then he wrote this post about how National Guard's going to be sent in, and then made this whole thing about how New Scum and Bass are not actually doing what they should be doing, and then saying, oh, thank you to the National Guard for solving the issue, when the National Guard had not even arrived yet until Sunday morning. So this whole thing on Saturday was a complete lie. But I think the main reason is, you're talking about, Donald Trump swinging his dick around, is really a response to Trump saying he was going to take away government grants or federal grants to California. And then Newsom was like, all right, let's do the math on this. We pay out $80 billion more than we get back.
Donor state.
So when you think about the red states that get funding for resources and, education, which clearly is not doing them any good, and other sorts of welfare, subsidized living, whatever it might be, he said, all right, well, what if we just don't give you the $80 billion? If you're going to take that away from us, then we are well within our right to, keep that for us. And then, boom, that is when this, flip of a switch happened, and these raids and this escalation to be Donald Trump trying to make it so that everyone knows that even though he started the fire, it's like, an arsonist. They start the fire, and then they call the fire department and expect you to, applaud them because they saved the day. And that's not at all what happened.
Yeah.
He's such a bully. That is Trump's MO. He is he treats working in government like he's a mafia boss or something.
No, for real. You don't have to have 100% of cooperation from the news, from the media, from performers. The way that he has threatened every single person who has fact-checked him, spoken out against him, it's okay, you're overcompensating for something, and now you're heavily overcompensating, and you've done it to the one state where you can f*** around, and you will find out.
We are the most powerful state in this country. Don't be stupid.
And we're not primarily white. This country, this state especially is such a huge, diverse group of people that okay, so obviously the main group that we are protesting right now is the Mexican migrants, and that you're seeing that a lot with the Mexican flags that are being flown during the protests. And there's a lot of people that are saying we should be flying American flags, and to some degree I totally understand where that is coming from, because this isn't an attack on immigrants. This is an attack on the soul of America. And I truly, I thought, I was there on Sunday, I was like, maybe I should get a flag and fly it around. But no, I think the merit behind the American flag is Donald Trump says that he's defending the heart of this country while attacking its literal bread and butter and the backbone of it. And so, I think if we're going to protest, I'm definitely going to be flying an American flag. You want to see patriotism, let me remind you what it looks like type thing.
Nobody is getting due process. We don't know that the people who are being kidnapped by ICE are even... you don't know. Right. They're just random fucking people. And you're going into Home Depot. You're going into people's place of employment. I feel like you see people on the right online being oh, well, those are criminals. It's
how do we know? There's literal children being detained.
There's people in my neighborhood who work at stores or shops that we go to on a regular basis who are really fucking freaked out right now. Mm-hmm. And I don't know their immigration status, but it doesn't fucking matter because even if they aren't, it doesn't matter.
It's a witch hunt on black and brown Americans, and we've been saying that, we've been seeing it, but when American citizens can be detained just because of the color of their skin, and then being told that their documents are falsified, and then they can be deported, at a certain point, these protests need to keep going, and they need to continue on this strong, because we are literally slippery slope towards authoritarianism. We are at slippery slope towards fascism. We are very, very close to getting back from a point where we can't return. And if Donald Trump actually follows through, which so far he's done a really good job of making sure he is following through on all of his promises, despite the fact that it is crippling the American people. If he follows through and he kidnaps Gavin Newsom, California is absolutely going to be the state that flips into the rebellion. And I can see that, because this is a step, this is a test. And
that's the thing, is that this is all a giant test.
One is I agree on the flags. I think that only American flags should be flown during these protests. And the reason is not because it's to say Mexican lives or whatever don't matter, but it's to paint a picture and a narrative to say, this is in fact an attack on America, on Americans who are not only getting taken from high school graduations or grade school graduations or from Home Depot or their jobs, but literal Like, people are dragged out of their cars on the street.
Mm-hmm.
There are videos of, a Dodge Caravan rolling up, people coming out and pulling people out of cars
Breaking
and
windows. I've seen breaking windows.
And throwing them in. Like, if you cannot look at that and say, this is some Gestapo type shit, then you have complete blinders on or rose-colored glasses or whatever you want to say. Because at the end of the day, at first, they'll come for the people who don't look like you, who don't have the same, lightness of melanin in their skin. Then they'll come for people who don't have the same sexual orientation as you or preference or whatever it might be. And then they'll be like, oh, well, you don't believe in this religion. We'll come after. I mean, like, there's no way that you can look at right now and say, wow, this is no way at all like what happened in the 30s and 40s. It is identical, to what happened. People being removed, it's like when the Olympics were in Germany at the time, and
oh my God, aren't the Olympics supposed to be in America?
Yeah.
In
You
LA,
guys.
2028.
It is literally.
And so you look at that and it's like, oh, so like for the Olympics then when it was in Berlin, they were like, okay, the agreement here is that you can't you can't kidnap these people in broad daylight because you have international cameras on it. You have to like make sure they're out of the way and stuff. And it's like Donald Trump and his regime and his Gestapo police are very much of the mindset of like, we got to get these people out of sight, out of mind. We got to remove them. We got to make sure that we, deport millions of them, which would not only destroy our economy, and because I don't see any Americans being like, oh yeah, they stole our jobs. I don't see any of them going to the dishwasher or on the farms to go pick lettuce or strawberries. But when you look at these things happening in broad daylight, these aren't happening in the shadows anymore. This is broad daylight that people are getting picked up in the middle of the street, in their car. You cannot look at that and be like, yeah, you know what? They deserved it. No, they didn't. They deserve due process. They don't deserve to be thrown into a facility where there's no food, no water, no light, no due process at all. Like, we are a country in distress, and we should be. I mean, a lot of people who, when people were getting fired in the government, people were like, well, I'm going to turn this pin upside down because we are in distress. Like, we're flying a flag upside down in Yosemite, right? These are all things that are happening as like, it is, we are really like gaining speed down this hill. And it is absolutely a blueprint for what they want to do in DC. And I think this is Stephen Miller's wet dream to deport all these people and then say, you know what, now that we've done it here, we can do it in other places, and specifically we can do it in D.C. where we can take over, and then that way we can make sure that Trump stays in power, and we have martial law and the Insurrection Act. Like, all of these things are but steps to a larger goal, and this isn't and mind you, this is not like us making this stuff up. It's literally in Project 2025. You can go to page 522 or 555, something like that, along the page where it says, we will now get the military to be federalized, like the National Guard, and use them in the way that we want against civilians. So it's like, they wrote it, they put it in paper, and then they printed it out, and then denied that
they'll punish anyone who decides to actually uphold their constitutional duty. They'll become a traitor to the fucking cause.
They're shooting the press with rubber bullets in the head and
body parts.
And body parts.
That Australian journalist got shot.
I
saw a child when I walked up to the protest on Sunday in a Kevlar vest with a helmet, and her family and she were telling us that they had just been tear gassed. A child.
Yeah, like
I don't know how else.
Yeah.
To make it more clear, like you either pick a really divisive side right now, or you are standing with fascism and Nazis in the Gestapo.
And it's not even divisive. It's like, I'm standing for a side that is pro humanity and life. Yeah, especially from the party that's like, I'm pro life.
Did we all not say the Pledge of Allegiance where it said liberty and justice for all every single morning? There's a lot of shit happening right now, but either we take back America or America gets way worse, and then who's supporting Israel? Who's supporting this? Who's supporting that? America, American soil with American weapons and American access to all these things. Like, I understand there's a lot of other things happening in the world, but this is very important to make sure domino effects don't keep happening.
Yeah. I don't want to say this is another moment where Kamala Harris was like, I told you so.
It is.
But it is. I mean, this is another moment where America looked at a strong, competent, experienced woman, first with Hillary Clinton, and said, we don't like her. Then voted for Trump. And we all remember what happened then. And this is the second time. Kamala Harris, another strong, intelligent, competent woman who has experience, literally told everyone if you elect Donald Trump, he at some point during his administration will turn the police on you and arrest you. And it's actually becoming quite viral right now. The Hill wrote an article at the time of her saying that and said, no, this is not going to happen. And now that it is happening and citizens, American citizens, are being arrested for simply protesting, like David Huerta and others who are American citizens who live in LA and are getting arrested for merely showing up to a demonstration and then getting hogtied with zip ties and thrown in.
Literally on Sunday, we had barely been told to disperse, and where I was at the protest was not where the people on the 101 were throwing rocks at the cars. I wasn't in that area. It was all over the city block. But where we were, they started to tell us it was now considered an unlawful gathering, and if anyone was out on the street, they were all getting arrested. And I was like, 1, that's bullshit. 2, you can't do that. 3, they started to send all these policemen on their horses out, and they had zip tied the fence that everyone was going through. So thank God there was a hole, because otherwise we would have been we couldn't walk past the police this way. Then the horses were coming in this way, but they blocked our point of exit. And then as we're going through the fence trying to get back to our car, there's a helicopter flying around us saying, oh, all of you in that parking lot, you're all getting arrested. Every single one of you is getting arrested. First of all, go fuck yourself. Then save it for a little bit after so you can fuck your dad. Because I know that's the only fucking good thing you've got looking forward to. So it's antagonistic. They don't give you a chance. And yes, protests get crazy, but we are a people entitled to our First Amendment right, and we show up to exercise it, and we end up having to defend it. So protest on. Keep going. But we are treading a very delicate, very thin line right now, and I think we're doing a fantastic job showing the rest of the world exactly what energy to bring forward right now, because you don't fuck around and find out in LA. You shouldn't.
Yeah. And now, they're sending in, over 4,000 total National Guardsmen and 700.
Which we're paying for, by the way. Which California is responsible for paying for.
I will say the irony of, it was at the time of filming this morning, Pete Hexas is in a budget hearing meeting with lawmakers, and they were unable to tell them what their budget was going to be. They, again, just like the FBI, oh, we'll get it to you, we're working on it, and they're like, we need to have these line items so we can do this. And they're like, we don't have the budget of this. But we can tell you what the cost is going to be for deployment, which is over $134 million for this group of military personnel who have been deployed inside LA. And it's just a punishment. It's local authorities said, we don't need you right now. Everything was peaceful. LAPD, of all people, LAPD at the time on the 7th, they said the protests are peaceful. They're organized. These are peaceful demonstrations. They have not gone outside into this unlawful arrest. They said, we got it. We know what we're doing. Donald Trump, again, who had a conversation on Friday with Gavin Newsom, didn't mention National Guard. Then the next day tweeted out he was going to send the National Guard because it wasn't doing anything about it. And even local authorities were like, the sheriff, LAPD, they were like, we've got this under control. No one is causing any sort of damage or destruction. And then Donald Trump throws kerosene on the problem and says, look at me, I fix it. Which I will add, at the same time that he is calling in the National Guard, where does he go? A UFC fight. Yep. He goes to a UFC, golfing probably during the day, but goes to a UFC fight with Dana White, and he's doing his jerk-off dance and all that shit and getting all the praise and flattery at the same time of declaring war on American citizens who are peacefully protesting and then saying, you aren't doing enough, Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass. We are going to call in the federal government and or the National Guard, and we're going to federalize them for our own use.
Yeah. So I think we're reaching a tipping point as we have been. And I am really just hoping that if there are any active military members listening to this podcast, if there's anyone that listens to us, this is really a good opportunity to remember your oath to the people. This is a really, really good time to remember who your constitutional duty is actually to, because I promise you it's not a tyrannical king who has made fun of you guys and called you jokers and losers. If you die, you didn't win.
They're literally sleeping on the ground outside.
Yeah, they're not taking care of you.
They didn't send you food or water or nothing.
Nothing. Like that.
In fact, y'all can get fired if you even share your personal opinions. You think that's an administration that cares about you at all? Remember your oath. Let's move on. No, I'm kidding.
The one last thing I want to point out is you mentioned No
Yes.
King's Day. So the protest that is happening June 14th, Donald Trump today, as of filming this, came out and said that if you protest, which again,
We're allowed to do.
You are allowed to do.
I'm like,
If you protest his big, beautiful, magnificent military parade, which is really a birthday celebration that we, the taxpayer, which I want to point out, they say is going to cost $45 million. If it cost $134 million just to deploy 4,700 military service members to LA, I guarantee you $45 million is not going to be the cost to have this parade, especially
Yeah.
with the tanks and the guns and these people and that people and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I guarantee, absolutely, it's going to balloon way out of control. Where's Doge?
but don't you worry, you
Where's
guys.
Doge?
Don't you worry. There will be no immigrants here to see it.
Yeah.
So you got what you wanted.
But he said, if you protest his military birthday parade, you will be met with a very big force. And I think that's, quote, very big force. That's what you'll be met with, which is like, how, no, like he's also trying to like ban masks at protests. What the are we doing?
But you won't ban
Yeah.
masks off your Gestapo?
Boom.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Guess
also,
who else
we were
died on
masked
his
up because there was
birthday?
tear gas.
Yeah.
We were masked up because we didn't know if there were flashbangs and tear gas. We don't know what you're shooting at us. The f- you mean? U.S. citizens are being detained for even having an opinion. Content creators are being detained for having an opinion. You think, are you kidding me? Oh my God. I think we should move on. So anyway, No King's Day is show up, show out, show up at your protest.
Yeah,
If you don't know what to
protest
do,
everywhere.
like if you don't know what to do, please be reposting. On TikTok, I've seen a lot of updates on ICE, like live active updates. If you see them, post it, tag
Yeah.
it on Citizen, share, talk about it. If you see information, like share videos of content creators talking about what's actually happening in Los
Yeah.
Angeles right now. Share
Mr.
actual videos of the protest. Show people what
Yeah.
the f- is going on, and then show up yourself.
Mr. Checkpoint is a good resource. They're on Substack, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok. They're sourcing all live footage and documented footage from people on the ground of things happening in LA. There are other places too. I think Texas as well right now, but they're documenting everyone that was sent up from Marines that were sent up on the highway that were all these different things that are happening documented. Mr. Checkpoint is the one that I would recommend to stay informed on what's actually happening.
Okay, this review comes from MK, and it is on the Bloodthirsty and Bewitched activity books. We are very low on shipment of these because they've been selling out so fast. So you guys should just know that when they are back in stock, you should buy them. Because MK says, spook-tastic. I bought it a while ago and was worried in the end I wouldn't use it, but I love having it around. I didn't want to race through it, so I'm taking my sweet time and enjoying the randomly, hauntingly good time. And let that be known, if you ever get sick of seeing what's happening in the news, we've got a great distraction. And soon there's going to be a new one that's coming out that is like Grimm's Fairy Tales, right? And we're all very excited for that. Yeah. So if you're spooky and you love fantasy, stay tuned, babe. I did want to respond to this comment. That's actually very on brand with everything we just talked about. This is on our MAGA reacting to current events. And this clown comments, "You're a clown." Wrong form of "you're." "Move to California. They seem to be doing well." And to that I say, we are doing well. As a state that operates entirely financially independently of the government, we are not at his whim. We are standing up and fighting back. We know how to be literate and use the correct form of "your." And we're all hot. And we all have much better food quality and probably better quality of life.
We respect our rights here.
Yeah.
In terms of
We
like,
have hella beaches.
Stand up for people.
Lots of good
you could
food.
group, you could experience all 4 seasons within one day.
One day.
Yeah, lots of national parks. It's a good time here, so we'll stay.
Oh, wait. Oh, it's so miserable. Please don't come. Oh, God, boo.
It's
boo.
on fire.
We hate it here.
Wow, you really got us.
There's
I
so
guess.
many blue-hairs and progressives. Just don't ever come, please. Fuck. Oh, God. Okay, so if you're listening audibly, this is the time when we move on to our Delve decks. These are great for conversation starters. I'm going to start with Middle Vent. I have the venting deck. We have 3 decks to choose from. I'm choosing venting. What did you splurge on that you regret in hindsight?
I splurged on the apartment I'm in right now, in the sense of it was higher than we were kind of going for in our budget, but we went for it, and it has now become a complete nightmare because our landlord is a intimidating, threatening. I don't know if he's bipolar. I don't know. He's definitely like manic of some sort.
He's unwell.
He's unwell. I mean,
should pray for the landlord to go to hell.
There we go. That's what it should be. Because this guy is a literal menace, monster. Everyone who's lived in this place has expressed deep concern and hatred, and I'd say that's probably like my most splurge where I'm like,
wow. One time I splurged because I got flown to Uruguay for a commercial shoot, and on one of my days off I walked around to a market, but I was really hot and sweaty, and so I walked in the market and I saw a perfumeria, and I said, that's calling my name, I'll spray a sample on me and I'll go. But the vendors were watching me and they were looking at me, and then they start speaking to me in Uruguayan, which is just very different Spanish than what I'm used to. And so I'm like trying to communicate with her, and I think I understand what we're saying, and I just decide like, I'm feeling peer pressured, I'm going to buy this Chance Chanel perfume. And I know that the conversion rate is a little different, so it's probably cheaper in Uruguay anyway, right? It's 180 in the States. It's got to be less in Uruguay. So we go for it, and she tells me the calculation in pesos, and I think I know what it is. And then I go through to the register, and she repeats the number back to me. And then when I get the receipt, I see that there is indeed an extra zero. And I paid $300 for a bottle of Chance perfume. Realized I wanted to return it. They said I couldn't, and then I opened it and realized it was the wrong bottle of the Chance perfume I wanted. So that was my most expensive splurge, and it still sits untouched in my vanity.
All right, this is from the original deck, medium dark. What is something other people find gross but doesn't bother you?
The videos online when somebody's like, "Oh, I got this thing stuck under my skin," you know,
Ew,
and
Gabe.
then they like either like pop it or they like do like a little incision to get it out. Those I cannot stop watching. Like it'll hit the feed and I'm like, "What? Oh my god, this is crazy. What was under there? Oh my god, it keeps coming."
I am not grossed out by blood. So, like, medical things, like surgeries. I think that I actually would have been I think I could have been a doctor, other than the fact that
if you stayed in school longer, you could have technically been a doctor.
Yeah, if I wasted more goddamn money. No, like, I had no desire to go to medical school or do any of that. So, for that reason, I would be a bad doctor. But I think from the perspective of like, doing a surgery, having to like deal with blood and that sort of thing, that doesn't gross me out.
I have the Joy Edition Delve deck, and my question is, what is your favorite curse word?
See you next Tuesday.
Ooh,
C word also. Yeah. See you next Tuesday.
Yeah, I can't say that. I mean, I guess I could say see you next Tuesday. I just can't say the actual word.
Yeah, you can't.
Just as a guy.
Honestly, I didn't even like you saying see you next Tuesday, so honestly canceled.
Okay. Mine rhymes with duck, luck.
It loves to be auto-corrected to duck.
Yeah.
You love ducking
What the
around.
duck are you doing? That's my favorite one.
So stand up to injustice and also take the plunge and talk about your deepest, darkest secrets and the things you hate and are disgusted by. You can buy your own duck for $28 at boredwalk.com. They're super fun. We love you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with us. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.